She was interested. You know she was. The texts were flowing. The conversation felt natural. Maybe you even went on a few dates. But then something shifted. She takes longer to reply now. Plans get canceled. She seems distant, and you're sitting there analyzing every word, every delay, trying to figure out what went wrong. Did you say something? Move too fast. Not fast enough. The worst part, you don't even know if this is rejection or just a bad week. Here's what's actually happening. In most cases, she's not rejecting you. She's testing you. And the anxiety you're feeling right now, that urge to reach out and fix things, that impulse to demand clarity, that's exactly the response that will make her lose interest for real. I'm going to show you the 7 specific tests women use when they're evaluating whether you're worth their time. Not theory. Not guess. Exact behaviors you can recognize. And the precise responses that pass each test. Because right now, you're probably failing tests you don't even know you're taking. And by the time you finish this video, that confusion ends. You'll know exactly what's happening and exactly what to do about it. Now, before we get into the tests themselves, let me be clear about something. This isn't about manipulation. This isn't about playing mind games or trying to outsmart women. That mindset will destroy any relationship before it even starts. What this is about is understanding women test men because they need to feel safe in investing their time and emotions. It's not malicious. It's not cruel. It's psychology. And the men who understand this dynamic stop taking everything personally and start responding from a place of confidence instead of insecurity. So what I'm about to share with you isn't a playbook for deception. It's a framework for clarity. Because once you understand what's actually being tested, you'll realize that passing these tests just means being the kind of man worth keeping around. Let me show you why these tests happen in the first place. Here's the problem. Most men don't even realize they're being tested. They think they're just having a bad day with someone they care about. She pulls back, and they interpret it as disinterest. So what do? They try to fix it. They reach out more. They ask what's wrong. They explain themselves. They seek reassurance. And every single one of those responses sends the same message. I need your approval. I'm not secure enough to handle uncertainty. That's what these tests are really measuring. Not whether you're perfect. Not whether you never make mistakes. Women test to see if you're emotionally grounded. Can you handle ambiguity without falling apart? Can you respect yourself even when she's not giving you validation? Can you maintain your standards and boundaries when things get uncomfortable? The psychology behind it is actually pretty straightforward. Women are investing their time, their emotions, potentially their future in you. That's a massive risk. So before they fully commit, they need to know, will this man remain solid when things get difficult? Or will he crumble the moment I'm not giving him constant reassurance? Most men fail because they operate from scarcity. They think, if I don't respond perfectly right now, I'll lose her. So they overcompensate. They chase. They explain. They apologize for things they didn't even do wrong. And ironically, that behavior is exactly what makes her lose interest for real. Because what she was testing for, strength, confidence, emotional stability, you just proved you don't have. So here's what we're going to cover. 7 specific tests. The sudden distance test. The emotional reaction test. The boundary challenge test. The other men test. The attention withdrawal test. The public respect test. And the future investment test. For each one, I'll show you exactly what it looks like, what she's really testing for, and the precise response that passes without making you look needy or desperate. By the time we're done, you'll have a complete framework for recognizing and passing every test women throw at you. Let's start with the first one. The test that catches 90% of men completely off guard. Test number 1. The sudden distance test. This is the one that blindsides most men because it happens right when things seem to be going well. You've been talking, maybe you've gone on a few dates. The connection feels real. And then, out of nowhere, she pulls back. Her texts get shorter. She takes longer to respond. Plans get vague or canceled. The energy just drops. Here's what she's testing: your neediness level, your emotional control. Can you handle her pulling back without falling apart? Or are you going to panic and start chasing? Most men fail this test in one of 3 ways. They either start texting more, trying to force the connection back. They ask what's wrong, what they did, if she's okay. Or they get defensive and reactive, interpreting her distance as disrespect. All 3 responses send the same message: I need your validation to feel secure. The right response: match her energy. If she pulls back, you pull back. Not out of spite, not as a punishment, but because you have a life that doesn't revolve around whether she's texting you back. You don't chase. You don't demand explanations. You don't act like her taking space is a crisis. What this demonstrates is abundance. You're not desperate for her attention because you have options, interests, purpose beyond any one person. That's what makes her realize, wait, this man isn't like the others. He's not needy. He's secure. And that security, that's exactly what she was testing for. Once you pass that test, don't be surprised when she reaches back out, often with more interest than before. Test number 2. The emotional reaction test. This one's subtle because it doesn't always look like a test. She'll share a problem with you. Something stressful at work, drama with a friend, anxiety about a situation, or she might say something provocative, something designed to get a reaction from you. And then she watches how you respond. What she's testing is your emotional stability. Can you stay grounded when she's emotional? Can you listen without trying to immediately fix everything? Or are you going to get flustered, reactive, defensive, or try to logic away her feelings? Here's where most men fail. They try to solve the problem immediately. They offer advice she didn't ask for. Or they get emotionally entangled themselves, either matching her anxiety or dismissing her feelings as irrational. Both responses fail the test because they show you can't handle emotional situations without losing your center. The right response is to stay calm. Listen without judgment. Let her express what she's feeling without making it about you or about solving it right now. A simple, "I hear you. That sounds frustrating," does more than 10 minutes of unsolicited advice. You're showing her that you can be a steady presence when things get emotional. You're not rattled. You're not reactive. You're just there, grounded. What this proves is leadership. Not the kind of leadership that dominates or controls, but the kind that remains calm in chaos. That's what women are looking for. A man who doesn't lose his composure when emotions run high. Pass this test, and she'll trust you with deeper vulnerabilities because she knows you won't crumble under the weight of them. Test number 3. The boundary challenge test. This is where she pushes against your standards to see if they're real or just for show. Maybe she shows up late repeatedly. Maybe she makes a request that crosses something you said was important to you. Maybe she tests whether you'll tolerate disrespect if it means keeping her around. What she's actually testing is whether you have real boundaries or fake ones. Do you stand by what you said matters to you? Or will you cave the moment she pushes back? Most men fail this in one of 2 ways. They either cave immediately to avoid conflict, thinking that being agreeable means being attractive. Or they overreact harshly, turning a boundary into a power struggle. Both fail because she learns you either don't respect yourself, or you can't maintain standards without becoming controlling. The right response is calm consistency. Hold the boundary. Don't negotiate it. Don't get defensive about it. Don't turn it into an argument. If you said punctuality matters, and she's consistently late, you address it once, clearly and calmly. Hey, my time matters to me. If plans don't work for you, just let me know beforehand. Then you follow through. If it continues, you act accordingly. No anger. No drama. Just standards. What this demonstrates is self-respect. Women don't want men who bend to please them. They want men who have clear standards and stick to them. That predictability creates safety. She knows where she stands. She knows you won't suddenly change your boundaries based on her mood or her pressure. That consistency. That's what makes you trustworthy. And trust is what separates casual from serious. Test number 4. The other men test. And here's where it gets interesting because this is the test most men completely misread. She mentions another guy. Maybe someone who hit on her. Maybe an ex. Maybe just a guy friend who's been texting. She brings it up casually, almost like it's no big deal. And then she watches your reaction. What she's testing is your scarcity mindset. Are you secure enough that other men aren't a threat? Or are you going to get jealous, competitive, insecure? She wants to see if you operate from abundance or from fear. Most men fail this test by getting visibly bothered. They ask questions about the guy. They try to compete or one-up him. They seek reassurance that they're better than him. Some even get angry or accusatory. All of these responses reveal the same thing. You're threatened because you think she's your only option. The right response is indifference. Not fake indifference where you're clearly bothered but pretending not to be. Real indifference. A simple "that's cool" or "sounds like he's into you" without any emotional charge. You're not intimidated. You're not competing. You don't need to assert your dominance because you're secure in your own value. What this proves is confidence. You're not worried about other men because you know your worth. You're not playing a zero-sum game where every other guy is competition. That lack of jealousy, that security, is incredibly attractive. It shows her you're not going to be the type of man who's constantly insecure or controlling. And ironically, that's what makes her stop testing and start investing. We're halfway through, and test number 5 is where most men completely collapse. The attention withdrawal test. This is similar to the distance test, but more extreme. She doesn't just pull back a little. She goes cold. Responses drop to almost nothing. The warmth disappears. It's like she's testing to see if you'll beg for her attention. What she's really testing is whether you'll maintain your value or crumble. Will you hold your frame when she withdraws? Or will you spiral into anxiety and chase her validation? Here's where it gets brutal. Most men at this point can't handle the silence. They double text. They ask if something's wrong. If they did something to upset her. They seek constant reassurance. They basically hand over all their power because they can't sit with the discomfort of not knowing where they stand. And that desperation, that's exactly what kills her attraction. The right response is the hardest one. Pull back equally. Not as punishment, but as self-respect. If she's not investing her attention, you invest yours elsewhere. You focus on your life, your goals, your interests. You create space. And here's the psychology. When you stop chasing, when you demonstrate that her withdrawal doesn't destroy you, it flips the script. Suddenly she's wondering why you're not bothered. Suddenly she's thinking about you more than you're thinking about her. What this demonstrates is the ultimate test of emotional independence. You don't need her validation to feel valuable. That independence, that self-sufficiency, is what makes you unforgettable. And once she realizes you're not like every other man who crumbled under this test, expect her to re-engage, often with an intensity that surprises you. Test number 6. The public respect test. This one is the reputation killer. If you fail it, it's about how she treats you in front of other people. Friends, family, social media, public settings. She might make a joke at your expense. She might dismiss something you said. She might test whether you'll tolerate disrespect if there's an audience. What she's testing is whether you'll maintain your self-respect publicly or cave to keep the peace. Will you tolerate behavior in front of others that you wouldn't tolerate privately? Or do you have consistent standards regardless of who's watching? Most men fail this test by either laughing it off publicly and seething privately, or by blowing up in front of everyone and creating a scene. The first shows you'll accept disrespect to avoid conflict. The second shows you can't handle situations without losing control. Both fail because she learns you don't command respect. You either beg for it or demand it aggressively. The right response is to address it privately with calm directness. In the moment, you don't escalate, but you also don't laugh along. You stay composed. Later, in private, you address it clearly. Hey, when you said X in front of everyone, that crossed a line for me. If you're frustrated with me, tell me directly, not through jokes in public. No anger, no lecture. Just clear communication of standards. What this demonstrates is that you respect yourself enough to address disrespect without creating drama. That private, calm confrontation shows strength without aggression. It sets the standard for how she treats you moving forward. And most importantly, it shows her you're serious about mutual respect, which is the foundation of any real relationship. And finally, test number 7. The future investment test. This is the most important one because it determines whether this goes somewhere real or stays casual. She'll test your commitment level. She might bring up future plans. She might ask where you see things going. She might gauge whether you're serious about her or just keeping options open. What she's testing is your intentions and your consistency. Are you genuine about wanting something real? Or are you saying what she wants to hear while your actions show something different? Most men fail this test in two opposite ways. They either avoid the conversation entirely, deflecting or keeping things vague because they're afraid of commitment. Or they overcommit way too early, making promises they can't keep, desperate to secure her interest. Both fail because one shows you're not serious, and the other shows you're not authentic. The right response is honest consistency. If you're not sure yet, say that, but be clear about your pace and in your process. I'm not rushing into anything, but I'm taking this seriously. I want to see where it goes. If you are sure, show it through actions, not just words. Consistency between what you say and what you do is what builds trust. What this demonstrates is integrity. You're not playing games with her time or emotions. You're not making false promises. And you're not commitment phobic. You're a man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to be clear about it. That clarity, that authenticity, is what separates men women date casually from men they actually permit to. Now here's what most dating advice won't tell you. The men who consistently pass these tests don't even realize they're being tested. And here's why. Because they're not pretending to have these qualities. They actually have them. They're not trying to appear emotionally grounded. They are emotionally grounded. They're not faking abundance. They genuinely have options and purpose. They're not performing boundaries. They naturally respect themselves. That's the controversial part most dating advice won't say out loud. If you're constantly thinking about how to pass tests, you've already failed. Because the very act of strategizing your responses shows you're operating from a place of insecurity. Women don't want men who are good at passing tests. They want men who don't need to pass tests because they already are the kind of man worth keeping around. Now, I know how that sounds. Like I'm saying you either have it or you don't. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. These tests aren't about learning the right tactics. They're about becoming the right person. All 7 of those tests, every single one, they're measuring the same fundamental thing. Are you a man who operates from strength or from fear? So here's the real question. Are you trying to trick women into thinking you're high value? Or are you actually building yourself into someone who genuinely has these qualities? Because she can tell the difference. And until you stop performing and start being, you'll keep failing tests you don't even know you're taking. Let me ask you something. Which of these 7 tests have you failed in the past? Maybe you didn't even realize you were being tested until now. Maybe you've been misreading her behavior for weeks, months, thinking she was losing interest when she was actually evaluating whether you're worth keeping around. Drop a comment and let me know. Which test hit hardest? Which one did you finally understand? I read every single comment, and I respond to as many as I can. Because this isn't just a video, it's a conversation. You're not alone in this. Every man watching right now has been exactly where you are, confused about signals, second-guessing everything, wondering if he's doing it right. This channel exists to decode the psychology that no one else is explaining, to give you clarity where everyone else is giving you confusion, and to help you stop being the man who gets tested and starts being the man who doesn't need to pass tests because he already is what women are looking for. You're not being manipulated. You're being evaluated. So stop failing evaluations you don't even know you're taking, and start becoming the kind of man who passes by default,